And probably it was in March, of course, the COVID shutdown happened and our business our entire operation just kind of stopped, right? Because we couldn't get in groups of any size whatsoever. There was still a lot of confusion about how it transmitted, so we just stopped. So that was challenging for sure. So at some point, as we began to ramp back up into April, we began to formulate a plan for what we were going to try to do and how we were going to do it. We realized pretty quickly that traveling was going to be a challenge. This is just internally kind of in glory, and we realized traveling, getting out and going to Colorado and California, these were going to be challenging situations. So as I began to formulate a plan, I said, man, we really need a local type of schedule, especially because Texas was a little less restrictive than some of the other states. And so eventually Scott Smith and I ended up on the phone in April sometime, and we said, hey, listen, we both have the exact same challenge. And we think if we lead the way and say, listen, we're going to create a local schedule where people can drive and let go of this idea of having to, lock up hotels and plane tickets way out in the future, will ease the burden on our families. And if we gather up the big clubs in the state and help them, which they're probably having the same discussions and thoughts, and tell them, hey, we're going to create a schedule where the youngest teams and even if you're not the highest level team, you will have a place to play all summer, right? Because we realize we can't just find a place for the Glories and the Bombers to play. We have to have a place for everyone to play if we're going to lead this charge. And if we do that and create a summer schedule where people can get engaged, we can, crank the sport back up and get it going. And so that was the genesis of kind of our summer plan. And in the meantime, we tried to move the big events in Colorado and in California, create a regional version of those events. Some folks were less accommodating in that regard, and so we had to create a big event for the end of the summer. And so that really forced kind of the genesis of the TFL, something I know that Scott had been thinking about for a long time anyway. It really gave us the opportunity to create structure around that. So the TFL was an outgrowth of COVID forcing us to get local, thinking about, how do we control costs for our parents and create certainty to the extent that you can in this environment. And we realized going forward that it has a lot of the same legs, right? We can still play at a high level locally, spend less money, and then the TFL then, with connection with you, Jamie, and others, grew into the Alliance. So that's how, I think in my mind, that's how we kind of got started. And it really did start just from a need to play locally, and COVID driving us, towards a situation where we needed to do the best we could to control our environment. Yeah, and it really, the unity of the coaches came about again with Scott and I got on the, said, hey, if we get with these folks and get them going, they'll be on board because they'll see the truth in it, and we knew they were having the same challenges we were having. And the best thing about what's going on in Texas is the people that are helping lead the charge for the TFL are all established leaders. No one's trying to, make their bones or convince anyone that they belong, and so that really helps. So everyone has been doing a good job of subjugating their ego. We have a very democratic setup, and so that helps. When there's a disagreement or discussion, we can, just say, okay, we talk about it a long time, and then we say, okay, talking's over, let's make a decision, and we vote, and however the vote shakes out, that's what we do. And we've done that on numerous occasions. That seems to be working. But I think the best thing is everyone agrees that we need to be successful and want to be successful, and realize the best way to do that is to put our egos aside and work together, and so far everyone in that group has done it. It's really important to work together, because when the top groups are working together, the people in the area that lead the sport, either by teams or tournaments, those kinds of things, when you work together, everyone sees that and they come together, and they don't try to fracture the sport. And again, the competition's fine, there's nothing wrong with competition, but when the leaders work together, everyone sees that, and it creates this unity in the sport that we need across the country to help us have a voice, and bring in the big sponsors to, to want to be involved with the sport. I mean, one of the challenges we've always had is we've been so fractured that no one can find a person or a place to go in and say, hey, I want to be a big part of this sport and, help be part of the representation. They haven't been able to do that. The Alliance can provide that. So in every region of the country, we need those leaders to put their egos aside, to put their differences aside if there's history, so that they can come together for the good of the sport. If we grow the pie, there's more pie for everyone, and that is not a message everyone seems to understand. Yeah, so the leagues and the Alliance level the playing field by making it so you earn what you get. There's not a, you are chosen to go to this event or that event. It is a earn it on the field. And it's interesting in the TFL, because in Texas you have the same kind of comments. Well, you guys just always get picked and chosen to do that. We say, well, great, we have the TFL, and you can earn your way. And the normal cast of characters seem to bubble to the top at the end of the first year of the TFL. So it isn't, that those teams are just chosen. They have been able to sustain success over a long period of time. This allows those brand new teams to come in. If you're good, if you can create a great environment for your kids and compete on the field, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, you have a chance to earn your way to the top right away. So the Alliance is a combination of a few things. There are, number one, it's a collection of the leaders of the sport who've come together for the good of the sport, who understand that unity across the sport can help make it better and drive it and give it a more national profile. Two, it's for the good of the players. It provides them an opportunity to earn their way to the top, as well as stay connected to the leaders of the sport. And have an opportunity to be engaged with the history of the sport as well. It also allows coaches who have less experience to be connected with coaches who've been doing it a long time and can help them, up the ladder, if so to speak, if that's something they're interested in. And it allows us as a group to connect to the history of the sport, which I think is very important, and is something we've really needed for a long time. So to me, the Alliance is about unifying this sport, right? But having those regional connections and differences that accentuate themselves, that are okay. It creates a high level of competition, but most importantly, it creates unity and a level playing field for everyone to compete in.